So to wrap up this unit and come full circle back to the beginning, we've talked about how the plasma membrane allows for ions to be unequally distributed, and ion channels allow membranes to be unequally permeable. When cells open and close ion channels and change their permeability to ions, they allow ions to move by diffusion into or out of the cell, and that creates changes in membrane potential. The last thing I want to highlight for you here is the relationship between passive and active transport. Remember that ion channels are classified passively, and that means that they don't use any energy and they rely on diffusion in order to work. This means that ions are always going to move from high concentration to low concentration through channels, as long as that concentration gradient exists. But if all we did was move ions from high concentration to low concentration, then eventually there wouldn't be a concentration gradient anymore. The area of higher concentration would slowly decrease, the area of lower concentration would slowly increase, and eventually we would end up with a situation where membrane potential was zero, like we saw in that earlier example. So active transporters, and especially the sodium-potassium pump, help to prevent this from happening. The ATP that the sodium-potassium pump consumes allows it to pump both sodium and potassium against their concentration gradients. 3 sodium ions get pumped out, 2 potassium ions get pumped into the cell, and this guarantees that the concentration of sodium inside the cell is always going to be kept low, and the concentration of potassium inside the cell is always going to be kept high.